I'm Shweta. I have over 16 years of experience in IT and software.
So my name's Jeff Burke. I'm a senior cloud solutions architect at Sunati.
My name is Alistair. I am a contract senior DevOps and platform engineer working for the UK government.
I'm going to talk predominantly about what is new in Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9. We believe most of you have used Red Hat Enterprise Linux at some point in time in your career already. If not, welcome to basically the world of Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So let's get started. What we discussed today is around what are the pillars of Red Hat Enterprise Linux. I will quickly also show you some of the updates with what is there with Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Then we deep dive into some of the technical features. And at the end, I'll be spending some time on how do you actually get Red Hat Enterprise Linux for free, that is without paying any dollars. How you can basically prepare for any certification examinations on Red Hat technologies, whether it is Red Hat Enterprise Linux or any other products. Coming to pillars of Red Hat Enterprise Linux, as many of you Red Hat Enterprise Linux, or RHEL for short, has been there in the market for close to 20 years. Red Hat was actually formed in 1992-93. So we are almost in the market for close to 30 years. But it was in 2002-2003 that Red Hat Linux became Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So we are almost at the 20-year anniversary of having an enterprise Linux available for the ecosystem. So one thing is we continuously integrate over the different releases. So it all started with RHEL 2.1 in 2003. Now we are in almost 7 releases in the last 20 years. Optimization. So one feature which is available for Red Hat Enterprise Linux is it will basically help you streamline your infrastructure. Okay, that means improve the efficiency, right? Make management of your RHEL farm easy at scale, whether you deploy it in your data centers or in cloud or in virtual infrastructure, right? Be it across any footprint, optimization is one key feature of RHEL. The third one is basically security or protection, right? So we make sure that though you actually have a lot of Linux variants available in the market, in the community, Enterprise Linux means it should have security baked in, right? So even in the early phases of development, we make sure that the operating system is secure enough. We have features like security enhanced to Linux, firewall rules, all of those are enabled by default when you actually deploy, right? And it goes without saying, when you use some modern applications like cloud native or container technologies, etc., right? At the end of the day, they run on top of a enterprise Linux or Linux. So security should be of utmost interest. Then the final one is trust. We have a large ecosystem of partners, be it hardware partners or software vendors or cloud partners, right? It is the trust which actually made us come this far, okay? So you can actually have complete confidence and have long-term assurance for support with Red Hat Enterprise Linux and the subscription model around it. Now, quickly coming to some of the offerings, I think many of you might have heard about the earlier versions of Red Hat Enterprise Linux, like Red Hat Enterprise Linux 6 and 7, right? And most of you should know that our support lifecycle, we support our RHEL version for 10 years. And this support is basically extended for another some more years based on the extended life phase, whether you have extended lifecycle support or not, right? So this is basically the lifespan of RHEL 6 and 7. When it comes to 8 and 9, right, what you see here, you have 5 years of full support, 5 years of maintenance support, and then close to additional extended life cycle beyond that total 10 years, right? So it's important to understand what is the life cycle so that you can basically plan your updates and upgrades. So from a timeline perspective, the latest version of RHEL 8 is 8.7, you see here, and the latest version of 9 is 9.1 as we stand here. That is on March 2023. The latest version of RHEL is RHEL 9.1. Now, let's dive into some of the technical features. The most important change in RHEL 9 compared to RHEL 8 is basically the version of the kernel. So if you ever used RHEL 8, we were not in the kernel 5 version, right? We were in 4.10 or something. But with RHEL 9, the version of kernel which we ship is kernel 5.4. So it has basically a lot of features, like some of the features are WireGuard enabled for better VPN capabilities, right? For simultaneous multi-threading across different CPUs available in your system, it has a better scheduling feature, core scheduling, so that you can basically mitigate vulnerabilities which are like Meltdown and Spectre. So these were some of the vulnerabilities which gained popularity a couple of years back. So the core element in RHEL 9 is the kernel 5.14. So I just wanted to show you one of the RHEL machines I have here. So as you see in the slide in my screen, this is a RHEL 9.1 machine. And if you look at the output of uname-r, it uses 5.14.0-162. So this is a fully updated machine. I deployed it as a virtual machine just like today morning. So I'm trying to do an update here, and as you see, I have a new kernel update available, right? So I'm installing 5.14-0-162.22, right? The version currently which I'm using is .18, but I'm updating it to 22 version. So like I said, the kernel is a core feature available in Linux, and we make sure that it is updated on a regular basis. So that's just wanted to show you in real life and real time the 5.14 kernel which is available in RHEL. Okay. Some of the migration. So in case you are actually trying to migrate from a RHEL-like operating system like CentOS, right? If you're using that community enterprise operating system, right? You can very easily migrate from CentOS Linux 7 or 8 to RHEL 7 or 8 based on a tool called as Convert to RHEL. So now we fully support this tool Convert to RHEL, which will actually help you migrate seamlessly from CentOS to Linux by making changes to the repository configuration, right? So this becomes easy to do that. I see Ankit raising a hand. So Ankit, if you have a question, please put it in the Q&A field so that it becomes easy for us to. So please do that if you have a question. Another thing, it's not just about migrating from one non-RHEL version to a RHEL version. You also need to plan your upgrades, right? How do you upgrade from RHEL 7 to RHEL 8 to RHEL 8 to RHEL 9? So we have a tool called as LayApp, L-E-A-P, LayApp, which will actually help you do an in-place upgrade from an earlier version of RHEL to the newer version. So if you want to upgrade from RHEL 7 to RHEL 9, you first use the LayApp to upgrade to RHEL 8, and from then RHEL 8 to RHEL 9, again an upgrade. So it will be a two-step process. If it is RHEL 8 to RHEL 9, it is direct. Okay, so this is also properly documented. You can use LayApp to basically do that upgrade. Okay. Now, installation is pretty straightforward. You can actually install RHEL directly on your physical servers. You can actually create a virtual machine, gold image, and then deploy it on your virtualization environments, whether you run VMware or Hyper-V or Oracle VirtualBox or any enterprise virtualization suite. You can also deploy it very easily in your hyperscalers like AWS, Google, Azure, because it's anyways available as a certified image in their marketplace, right? Beyond that, if you want to create your own Red Hat Enterprise Linux image, you can actually use the RHEL Linux image builder, which is available in Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So if I show you this, I'm connecting to my sample RHEL machine. So I have a virtual machine deployed. I'm logging in as the root user there. And what you see to the left, you see something called as an image builder. So this is where you can actually create your own images. So I'm going to start this image building service because it is not started or active yet. I click on start. The moment I click start, it is asking me to create a blueprint or a gold image. Click on create blueprint. I just need to give a name like KodeKloud -demo, hit create. Now I actually clicked on the KodeKloud demo. I can choose the packages. So it is creating the package list. So let's wait for some time. It will show you the package list. You can also look at the images based on that. You can do some customizations or something if you wish. You click on create image. What you see here, as which image type you should create. Should it be created for Amazon Web Services as an AMI? Should it be created for Oracle Cloud or OpenStack or Microsoft Azure or VMware? You get all these options, right? So if you create it for Amazon Web Services, you can upload it to AWS directly if you want. You click on upload to AWS, and it will ask for authentication. And so you give the secure access key and the secret key, you'll be able to upload it directly. So what is the benefit of using this? You will actually be able to create RHEL images directly from RHEL itself, and then use it within your cloud environments or virtual environments, right? Very seamlessly. It makes it easy to deploy it in different environments, right? Whether it's physical, virtual, or cloud. Make sense? So that is the beauty of using the image builder. So this image builder service is part of the web console, which we have in RHEL 9. In fact, it was there in RHEL 8, RHEL 7 also, but with RHEL 9, we have added a lot of new features. So this way, you will be able to create a blueprint very easily. So now that I did the demonstration, I'm going to delete this. So it's very easy to create an image builder for any of your cloud or virtual machines or virtual infrastructure or physical servers. And not just about creating an image, we also need to make sure that you can actually put some security compliances, right? So out of the box compliances are also there. You can also specify a container image to pull from a container registry. I will talk about that later. So all of these are part of this integrated feature. So I just showed you the image builder service with RHEL. It's very easy to build. You choose platform, choose a builder tool, blueprint, build the image, and deploy the instance. It's a 5-step process, which you can very easily do. Praveen has a question. Possible to migrate directly from RHEL 7 to RHEL 9? Praveen, no, you cannot. You need to migrate to 8. I would say I will use the word upgrade. You should upgrade to 8, then from 8 to 9 using the Lay app. Mitra, I see a question on the certification, which I will park it for later because I have a discussion around certification at the end. So now coming to security, compliance, and identity, right? What are those features which are available with RHEL? Right from the installation, right? Like I said, when you deploy RHEL, you have security baked in. Something, if you want to configure smart card authentication and not something, a traditional username password, you can actually do it with Ansible. You can also use external sources of authentication like a social login or an AWS, Azure, Google-based logins to access your RHEL systems. When it comes to security enhanced Linux or SE Linux, you have improved MLS or multi-level security classification available with RHEL 9. And it's also important to verify that your boot environments are actually safe, right? So there are attestation services available to verify that the boot environment is actually really safe and it actually is proof, right? So all of these are baked in right from the installation itself when you do the deployment. And from a verification perspective for your end users, right? How do you identify that they are actually really valid users? The Red Hat IDM has support for a single sign-on using the OIDC, and Acme certificates are also fully certified or supported, right? So this is on the identity management front. From a workload perspective, there are a lot of workloads which are fully supported with RHEL, like SAP. So we have dedicated system roles, which are nothing but Ansible playbooks, which will configure your system for SAP kind of workloads, whether it is SAP HANA or other SAP-based applications. It can, the RHEL system role for SAP can also automate the installation of RHEL high availability clusters for HANA database management system, so that you can configure a replication between the primary as well as the secondary HANA instances. So this is something which is a part of RHEL, which will seamlessly make your SAP workloads highly available by default. With regards to automation and management, you have a lot of Ansible-based system roles available as part of the RHEL deployment. So if you want to deploy Microsoft SQL Server, you have a system role for SQL Server. If you want to configure storage, there are roles for storage, firewall, configuring a pacemaker-based HA cluster, that is high availability cluster, configuring your network with bonding, teaming, whatnot. And there are also new modules for managing the Redfish management interface and all, in case you need to use that cloud-based tooling. Again, so the system roles are actually ever evolving Ansible-based roles which are available, which will make use of Ansible to make sure that it uses the power of automation to consistently and in a standard way execute all your manual tasks at scale across your Red Hat Enterprise Linux farm. Another one which I wanted to emphasize is on the Linux web console. Many of you might have used this Red Hat Enterprise Linux web console already. It is nothing but a web-based management interface. So those who have been using RHEL for a long time, right, maybe from RHEL 3, RHEL 4, RHEL 5, RHEL 6 days, many a times we used to manage the Linux environment using command line interface, right? But from RHEL 7 onwards, even in RHEL 6, we have a web console called as Cockpit. So you can actually use Cockpit-based web console to do almost everything in your enterprise Linux. So be it managing users, be it updating your system, be it configuring your network, storage, containers, you name it, you can do everything with the web console. So I'm just showing the web console again. So you see here, this is the web console. So let me connect again. So to enable web console, you need to first make sure that the web console service is up and running. So if you look here, I have enabled the Cockpit web service. So as I said, it actually listens on port number 1990. Sorry, port number. So what you do is you connect to your RHEL machine on port number 1990, log in as one of the valid users. I'm logging in as RedHat root, the default admin account in Next. And I just logged in. And then you see this is the overview, right? You first see the health, whether the system is healthy. It says that system is up to date. When was the last successful login? The usage metrics of CPU and memory. System information like how long the system has been up, what is the model. So I'm using a VM, so it's showing QEMU. And some of the configurations like what is the host name, what is the system time, domain, and all those stuff. So I can also do a lot of things like rebooting shutdown here, or I can go to the left. Things like logs. You can actually look for your logs which are happening in your system based on the time, priority, identifier, right, which service you need to use, and then the filters. What kind of filter? Is it error? Is it info? Is it, right? So you see the different types of filters here. So you can actually do it that way, right? See here, since it's limitless, you can actually have different permutation and combination and look for errors here. So it has a lot of good documentation as well. So this way it actually helps you with streamlining the logs and looking at the logs in a much better way. Now coming to storage, it has information on how to configure your storage. So it first shows you the storage reads and writes, then number of drives. Does it have any iSCSI targets? No, nothing has been configured, but if you want to connect to an iSCSI target, you give the iSCSI name and password for a SAP authentication, challenge handshake, in case it has username and password. You see the file systems which are there, NFS mount, storage logs, and all those. So it's very easy to basically configure devices or manage the existing devices. So you can create a RAID device, LVM volume group, and all those very easily if you have free devices available. How do you add an NFS mount? You click on plus, right? So gone are the days where you used to edit etc exports file manually and make modifications. You can do everything in the UI itself. Coming to the networking, you see a lot of options like network packets coming in and going out. whether firewall is enabled, what are the network interfaces you have. You see the option to edit the firewall rules and zones here, right? You can add a new zone, you can add services to the existing zone, right? So it's pretty neat. Now, again, on the networking, you see an option to add bond, add bridge, add VLAN, add team, right? Everything is streamlined. Now, the other interesting factor is Podman containers, right? How many of you work in containers, like some container runtimes like Pod, Cryo, Cron, Docker, etc.? Anyone? I see someone saying, can the image be customized further? You meant to ask the image builder using the blueprints. Yes, you can actually make modifications to the blueprint and then create a new image out of the blueprint, if that was your question. Now, so I see a lot of comments around the container question, which I asked. Many of them are actually using Docker, right? Yeah. Going to use OpenShift in few months is the response from Chitra. So what I'm going to show you here is managing containers is very easy in Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8 and 9 with the help of the web UI, right? So even if you are not so, what do you call, interested in the web UI, Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8 and 9 comes with a container management tool called as Podman. It's more like a short form of pod management. Many of you who are working with Kubernetes or a container orchestration may know about pods. It's nothing but a single container or a group of container running in a single node. Okay. So you have the Podman available in Red Hat Enterprise Linux. You have it available as a local user. You don't need to actually run anything as a root user or something. Podman actually simply works out of the box. So here, when you do Podman PS, similar to, you remember there was a command Docker, right? If you are coming from the Docker world, right? So if you want to use Docker, you can install podman-docker, which will give you the Docker command, right? So it's like what? If I'm installing the podman-docker, what happens? I get a Docker command. But remember one thing, okay? Docker is nothing but what? What you see here, file user bin Docker, right? It's a shell script, executable shell script. What it does, it actually executes Podman in the background, right? So if you are actually so in love with the Docker CLI and do not want to type Podman, right? You still can continue typing Docker, but in the background, it actually uses what? Podman, right? Podman uses the same subset of commands like Docker without any change. So I'm looking at Podman PS to see whether I have any containers running. I'm looking at Podman images to see whether I have any images, right? One such, that's also the same, right? You don't need to install a, RPM Podman-Docker, right? Just create an alias, as simple as that. You're spot on, right? The good thing about installing an RPM is it then becomes available for multiple users, right? If you do it in the bash RC file, you end up creating it for all users, but that is the only difference. Now, what I'm going to show you here is how you can actually make the containers managed using the web console. So as you see here, you click on the Podman containers, you see there are no images or containers. So I can actually create a container directly. Click on create container. It randomly creates a container name. You can search for an image. You don't have an image locally available, and or you can just simply run a shell. What I'm going to do is I will actually download an image first. I'm going to download a new image. I'm going to search for something like Mongo, and I'm limiting the search only to docker.io. So I have 3 registries configured here: registries.access.redhat.com, registry.redhat.io, and docker.io. I'm going to look for container images in Docker Hub with the name Mongo. So what I do is I'm going to look at the first one, docker.io library Mongo, which is the official image for MongoDB. Click on download. It is basically pulling that image. You see here, pulling docker.io library, right? So Vanshaj has another question. Vanshaj, do you see this? Not sure whether you saw this, but I logged in as a root user here. You see root at to the left. So this will be pulled into the root user. Had I logged in as a non-root user, say if I create my own Sreejith user, it will be pulled to that particular user. Okay. So what I do is I can actually show it here. User add Sreejith plus WD. So now I actually show you. So I'm just pulling the image here. So now you see the image has been pulled. So now when I do Podman images, what do you see? Right. Now if I log into Sreejith, Podman images, I don't actually see it here because I'm not currently, I just created it. I need to initialize it. That's why this user currently cannot do that. But by default, you will be able to manage your Podman with a non-root user very easily. It's just that the user namespace is not properly configured. So the point here is, now you see the images in Podman images output because I pulled it. Now what you can do, you can basically create a container. You can choose an image which is already there, which is Mongo, or what you do, you can create a container from here itself. Click on create container, right? Give a name like I'm giving MongoDB-KodeKloud. Then if I want to pull the latest image available from the registry, I can check this. You can also say that with terminal because I need a terminal access. Restart policy, you can mention whether it should be restarted on failure or always. You can mention the CPU shares, memory limit, everything. So I'm going with default and hit create and run. It is now actually running. So you see the CPU memory utilization. Open this. You click on integration, you click on logs, you can click on console. It's all very easy to do it. So now when I go back and check here Podman PS, I see Mongo running, right? So what is the benefit? Even if you are not so familiar with Docker command line interface or Podman command line interface, it's very easy to basically manage it. Kevin, I'm using the cockpit web console as you see me typing in the terminal. So you connect to you basically start it. You start the cockpit system-based service. It will start listening on port number 1990. Send that. What you do is you connect to the web console port on 1990. So that is one of the differentiating features of RHEL, wherein you get the web console access to manage almost everything within the Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So this was a basic demonstration of how to manage a Podman-based container, like how to download the image, how to basically use that image to create a container. Much like how you managed your Podman containers, you can also manage virtual machine. So though you have the earlier Versh or libvirt based tools like Word Manager and all, we highly recommend you use the web console to basically manage your VMs as well. So when you click on the virtual machines tab to the left, options like existing storage pools, the networks, virtual machines. So I don't have any virtual machines right now. So if I want to import a VM, I can click on import a VM, right? Then import a virtual machine. So you give the virtual machine location on the host file system, like whether it is under temp or something, so it could be imported. Or if you want to create a new VM, click on create VM. You have the option of creating it fresh. You can also use ISO-based deployment and everything. So it's pretty easy to use the web console-based virtual machine wizard to create a new VM. Now, it doesn't stop in creating a new VM or importing a VM. You can also manage your storage, right? You create storage pools. You can basically look at the different types of storage types like file system, NFS, or the physical device disk. So remember, there is also a storage option to the left. You had the option of creating your own LVM or other devices based on the devices which you have, right? Same with the networking, right? Virtual networks. You can create new virtual networks based on the different forward modes which are available, right? And then associate these virtual networks to the VMs which you create. So that is about the VMs, and you have accounts. So I just created a new user in the name Sreejith. In fact, I just realized I had another user in the name Sreejith Anujan, but the point here is you can manage each and everything within the web console itself. And also the service management, right? Stopping, starting, everything. You can do it from here. You can also do some section recordings, in the sense, if you want to basically record something and send it to a Red Hat support team, right? It will actually help you do the session recording so that you may associate it with your SOS reports, right? So session recording is also there. There are other tools which you see here, right? Under the tools, you see different, an application tile here, right? So you have the different applications which are rightly is image builder, virtual machines, Podman, storage, everything. And then SC Linux, okay, SC Linux is in the enforcing mode. Software updates, if you want to update the software, you can do that. Right now it says it needs a reboot because many of you might have seen that I did a kernel update, right? So you can, the suggested recommended thing is to reboot the system with a kernel update. Finally, you have a terminal, as if you connect directly to the RHEL machine. So you can make changes to this appearance like black to light and all those stuff. So that was a quick overview of what is this web console. I strongly recommend you use web console because it's very easy for managing Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Even if you are a very seasoned expertise in command line interface, it doesn't hurt to basically use a tool which makes your life easy, right? And remember one more thing, it's not just about managing only your machine. You can also do that with remote machines. So what you see here, you see an option to basically connect to another host. You click here, add new host, right? Add a remote host name, username, or an SSH URI. Then you will be able to add a new host, which is a remote host. It could be multiple hosts, and you will be able to manage it from a single web UI, right? So this way it becomes very easy to manage your fleet of servers. So just wanted to spend some time on the web console because it is pretty neat. Some of the other value-added services, which is part of the Red Hat Enterprise Linux subscription, is something called as Red Hat Insights. So you might have noticed in my case, you look here, look at the overview. It says that I'm not connected to Red Hat Insights, right? So Red Hat Insights is basically a cloud-based SaaS offering. It's a software as a service fully managed by Red Hat, wherein you can actually configure a system to connect to Insights, and Insights would basically do predictive analysis for your system, whether you have some configuration anomalies or any vulnerabilities, right? So you can connect to Insights if you want. So if you have a valid subscription, you can connect. So what I did was I just clicked on that, what you call connect to instance. It's not connected yet. I'm going to connect. It's like I said, it's more like a, what you call proactive way of making sure that your system is properly configured with all the security updates and configurations which are required for your applications to run properly. So it takes some time because it is connecting to the SaaS application, which is managed by Red Hat. So let it go while we actually do this. So it also has advisors, right? Different advisors based on your configuration. So this is a snapshot or a screenshot of the Insights dashboard in the console. You see the CV score, vulnerability reporting, right? Some of the advisor recommendations and all those. Remember, this is part of the Red Hat subscription. You don't need to pay anything. You also have pre-upgrade analysis. That means if you want to upgrade from Red 7 to 8 or 8 to 9, Red Hat Insights can actually give you a kind of a reporting of what all changes you need to do in this current version before you can upgrade to the next version. So it will give you suggestions on possible remediations. And finally, I just need to spend some time on something called as a Red Hat Developer Subscription. An open question to many. Have you heard about Red Hat Developer Subscription? No. Good thing. It is free. $0 subscription. If you are an individual developer, you can actually freely register for a Red Hat Developer Subscription. Download Red Hat Enterprise Linux for free. Use it legally for your development activities, not for production. For anything related to development, you may use it for free. So this is part of the Red Hat developer program. Single subscription, which you can use up to 16 physical or virtual nodes. It's completely free. I will leave you the link in the chat, or you just Google for Red Hat Enterprise Linux Developer Subscription. Why I'm sharing it here? It is free and you can actually use it in the next minute. Now, you are also having a Red Hat subscription for Teams. Again, this is for development activity at no charge. You have it for a single organization up to 25K physical or virtual developer nodes. It is self-supported. So Sanjay, I see your question right now. From a support perspective, it is self-supported. While I say it is self-supported, if you actually raise a bug, right, obviously if it is a genuine bug which affects other production systems, we will basically acknowledge your bug reporting and make sure that bug will be fixed. Avantika actually beat me, so thanks for sharing the URL. But again, like I said, it's just a what you call search away in your preferred search engine. Now, what are the use cases of doing it? Right, in case you actually want to migrate to a production level RHEL systems, you're already knowing how a RHEL system works by using Red Hat developer subscription, right? It becomes easy to migrate. You also can request changes and new features. No cost for existing or qualifying Red Hat customers. So if there are some customers who are already using the Red Hat and want to join the Red Hat developer program and make use of it, it's straightforward. So some of the improvements in tooling and all, if you are keen, VM, Rust, and Go compilers are actually part of RHEL 9. Then other development frameworks like Ruby, Maven, .NET 7, Node.js 18, etc. are already part of it. Now, I just want to stress some time on the latest container tools. Like I said earlier, we no longer use Docker in RHEL 8 or RHEL 9. We are actually using something called as Container Runtime Initiative Open or CRI-O in our container platforms like OpenShift. But if you want to use a container tooling in your Red Hat Enterprise Linux, we highly recommend using tools like Podman, Buildah, and Scopio. Podman, like you saw in my earlier demonstration, is the command line tool for managing containers. Buildah is a tool used for building container images, but Podman integrates some of the Buildah functionalities. Scopio is a tool for managing images in a registry, like copying images from local machine to registry or from registry to local machine, or copy images from one registry to another. So Scopio can be used. In case you actually want to leverage the CI/CD functionality with the GitLab Runner, Podman is a fully supported container engine to be used with the GitLab Runner CI/CD pipelines. And there are some features in tech preview like Sigstore, wherein it can actually verify and sign your containers using the local Sigstore signature database. So I just wanted to emphasize again, if you haven't tried Podman yet, I strongly recommend you try Podman. Just wanted to go a bit further because some of those are not quite relevant to my talk. I also want to welcome you to a new lab experience called as lab.redhat.com. So those who are seeing the screen right now, take a new tab. Don't leave the Zoom. Take a new tab and then type in lab.redhat.com. You will actually get free access to Red Hat Enterprise Linux labs with a lot of pre-created scenarios like how to use RHEL 9, how to use containers with RHEL 9. A lot of pre-created scenarios are there. You don't even need to register. It's free. And these labs are actually running in cloud. So it is accessible 24/7. So if you didn't know about this, it's never too late. So connect to lab.redhat.com and start using this. Now, like I said earlier, go and subscribe, download the ISO file for RHEL, deploy it in your servers or create it as a virtual machine, start using it. And then I know some of you probably may be interested in the certifications which are actually part of the Red Hat organization, right? So anyone already certified with some of the Red Hat products like Red Hat Enterprise Linux or maybe other products like OpenShift or Ansible? I hope many of you heard about the certification from Red Hat. Is that a fair assumption? So I see yes from Sanjay. Perfect. So I strongly recommend you watch I think a 14-minute video from our Director of Certifications, Randy Russell, who actually gives you great tips on how you can basically prepare for a Red Hat certification exam. So he actually shares this video with the 8 tips. Some of the tips I actually captured in the slide, like how to check the exam prep guide, join the learning community to connect with other peers who are interested in gaining the certification, what all resources you have available in your system while you take the certification exam, and then some tips like rebooting the certification environment and checking and making sure that all the configurations which you've done are permanent and persistent across reboots, right? So this is a link. So we will be sharing the slides and you will get access to these links. And also there is a YouTube video on what happens inside a Red Hat certification exam, right? What you need to know. So it will actually give you a 8-minute overview of what happens when you register for an exam, how the verification is done, how the remote exam environment looks like, right? So all those details will be given in this YouTube video so that it becomes easy for you to get what you call familiar with the exam environment, and then ease your pressure when you actually attend this remote examination or any kind of exam modality, right? Like Ganesh mentioned, this is one of the neat videos which will give you a kind of a 360-degree overview of how the exam environment looks like, right? Because many of you may have apprehensions around what to do during the examination, right? So this will actually give you a look and feel of the environment so that you can relieve yourself from those tensions and apprehensions during that 3 hours or 4 hours of examination. So that was incidentally my last slide. I think I still have 6 minutes left. Any questions you have, please ask me. I will be able to answer questions within my capacity, which is allowed. And then, like I said, a couple of key takeaways for you for attending this. One is the developer subscription. Please use that. I also want to share the developer subscription is not just limited to Red Hat Enterprise Linux. With developer subscription, you can also go ahead and use something called as Red Hat Universal Base Image, or UBI, which can be used as a baseline for creating your own container images, which can later then be migrated to the enterprise Kubernetes from Red Hat, which is OpenShift. So we also provide baseline and images for creating your application-based container images. Along with that, you will also be able to download something called as a code-ready container or OpenShift local. OpenShift local is nothing but a single node OpenShift environment which you can deploy as a virtual machine on your platform of choice, whether it is Microsoft Windows or Linux or Mac OS. So that's also some value add as part of the Red Hat developer subscription, right? So please make use of it if you are not familiar with it already. These are all free assets at your disposal. So that's pretty much I wanted to help you with. I hope this was useful.